Okay, members, we're going to go ahead and call the Local Government Affairs Subcommittee. Will come to order, and Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield.
Here.
Vice Chair Moritas. Here. Democratic Ranking Member Campbell.
Here.
Representatives Caldwell.
Here.
Diaz. Dudley. Murphy.
Here.
Pigman.
Here.
Rader. Ray. Smith.
Here.
Stone.
Here.
Sullivan. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Martha. And if you will please stand with me, and we're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Representative Caldwell.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, members, we have a full agenda today. We have 18 bills, and we're going to get through all the bills today. And I'd ask everyone to please put their phone on silence. And as a reminder, if you're going to speak today, please fill out an appearance card and turn it in to one of the staff members. And I'm going to quickly go over the order right now. And it'll be Representative Metz first, then Representative Rooney will have two bills. Eagle, and then Clark Reed. That's what we'll take up first. And Representative Metz, since you are at the podium, if you'll please present House Bill 1155 relating to special districts.
Thank you, and good morning, Madam Chair and members. House Bill 1155 is a glitch bill related to a bill that I ran last year that had to do with special districts. Last year's bill reorganized Chapter 189, which deals with special districts, and we had a few glitches in that bill. It was 117 pages long, and we're doing cross-reference corrections and things of that nature in this bill. That's a summary of the bill, Madam Chair.
Great. Thank you, Representative Metz. And I do understand that you have a technical amendment.
Correct. This amendment actually corrects glitches in the glitch bill so that next year I don't have to do a glitch bill on my glitch bill.
We're glitched out. Members, are there any questions on the amendment? Okay. Anyone wishing to speak on the amendment from the audience? Okay. Is there any debate on the amendment? You are recognized to close on your amendment.
Waive close, Madam Chair.
Great. And without objection, we'll show that amendment adopted. Now we're back on the bill as amended. Members, are there any questions on the bill? Okay. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak on the bill? I believe we have Cheryl Stewart. Great. Thank you, Cheryl Stewart, Association of Florida Community Developers, waive and support. Is that the only one? Okay. Members, is there any debate? Waive and support. We will show that Justice for Jesus waives and support. Members, we're in debate. Any debate on the bill? Okay. Seeing none debate, Representative Metz, you're recognized to close.
Waive close, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield.
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Diaz. Dudley.
Yes.
Moritas.
Yes.
Murphy. Yes. Pigman.
Yes.
Rader. Ray.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
The bill passes.
Great, thank you. And by your vote, House Bill 1155, as amended, will be reported favorably.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members.
Great, thank you, Representative Metz. Okay, members, now we're going to take up two bills by Representative Rooney. We'll take up House Bill 1095 relating to discounts on public park entrance fees and transportation fares. And Representative Rooney, you are recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the opportunity. This legislation, House Bill 1095, will require counties and municipalities to provide military members, veterans, and the spouses and parents of certain deceased military members, law enforcement officers, and firefighters with discounted public park entrance fees. This bill will help provide a service for those who have honorably and dutifully served our country. The bill also requires regional transportation authorities to provide disabled veterans who provide written documentation with discounts on fares. There should be an insignificant fiscal impact. However, the Revenue Estimating Conference has not yet provided an estimate of the provisions, and that is the bill, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. Members, are there any questions on the bill? Okay, we have a couple of people from the audience that wishes to speak. Vicki Woolridge. Great, waves in support. And our next one is Justin Day. Great, ways and support. Thank you very much. Members, we're in debate. Any debate on the bill? Okay. Justice of Jesus, waves and support. Okay, and Representative Rooney, you are recognized to close on your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Normally I'd wait, but I'm working, Representative McGee has a similar bill to mine, and I'm working with him to sort of mesh them together, and hopefully we'll have a finished product by the time we get to the floor with this. And with that, I'll close.
Great, thank you. Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield,
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Diaz, Dudley,
Yes.
Moritas,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Pigman,
Yes.
Rader,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
The bill passes.
Great. By your vote, members, will show House Bill 1095 is reported favorably.
you,
Now
Madam
we'll
Chair.
roll right into House Bill 1253 by Representative Rooney. You're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This 1253 is a local bill with the School District of Palm Beach County. This bill establishes the School District of Palm Beach County Business Partnership Program, removing the need for periodic renewal of the pilot program that was established by the Legislature in 2008. The bill will continue to allow schools in the unincorporated areas of Palm Beach County to recognize its business partners by displaying the names of the partners on school property. In return for having their names publicly displayed, the partners fund programs such as Project Graduation, and that's the bill, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. Members, any questions on the bill? Okay, is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak? And we do have Vicki Crawford, or Vern Crawford, I'm sorry, with Palm Beach County School Board.
Madam Chair, Palm Beach County School Board waves and support.
Great, waves and support. Audience, I'm sorry, members, is there any debate? Any debate? Okay, you're recognized to close.
I'll waive close, Madam Chair.
Great. Martha, will you please call the roll? This is 1253.
Chair Mayfield,
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Diaz, Dudley,
Yes.
Moritas,
Yes.
Murphy, Pigman,
Yes.
Rader,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
The bill passes, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. And members, by your vote, we will show House Bill 1253 reported favorably.
Thank you, Madam Chair and
Thank you.
Committee.
Okay, members, next we are going to Representative Eagle at House Committee Substitute for House Bill 105, and it's related to publicly funded retirement programs.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, for allowing me to present this bill in front of you today. I know you've got a full agenda. I will try to be efficient. I was able to see most of you on the floor yesterday. I apologize to those I missed, Rep. Moritas, Rep. Campbell, Rep. Rader, Rep. Sullivan. You have another lovely jacket on today. Very, very well done. This bill is intended to close a loophole in state statutes, if you will. Currently, in the state of Florida, all homeowners that pay an insurance premium, there is a 1.85% tax, if you will, on that insurance premium that goes to the Florida Firefighters Pension Fund. That is then directed from the state back to the municipalities or special fire districts where those homes are being served in order to benefit those firefighters' pension funds. We have an issue in Lee County, Cape Coral specifically, the district I serve, where we service through intermutual local aiding group agreements. We service an unincorporated part of Lee County. So those homes that they are servicing, putting their lives on the line, quite frankly, that money is being sent to Tallahassee and not coming back to their pension fund where it's intended, where the taxpayers are sending their money to go. So this would close that loophole. It's a statewide fix. As far as staff and others that have been working on it could find, there are no other areas in the state other than a few in Lee County where Rep. Caldwell, myself, Rep. Rodriguez serve. But that is the gist of the bill, and appreciate your time today.
Great, thank you. Members, any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, we have a couple from the audience. Euleen Gold with Cape Coral. Waves and support. We have Craig Kahn with the Florida League of Cities. Great, waves and support. We like that. Okay, anyone wishing to debate the bill? Okay, seeing none. Representative Eagle, you recognize to close on your bill.
I waive. Thanks for your time.
Great. Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield,
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Diaz, Dudley,
Yes.
Moritas, Murphy, Pigman,
Yes.
Rader,
Yes.
Ray, Smith,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
The bill passes, Madam Chair.
Great. By your vote, we'll show Committee Substitute House Bill 105 will be reported favorably.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we will have Representative Clark Reed, and she will be presenting House Bill 869 related to Broward County.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. Today I'm presenting this bill that was filed at the request of the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. This bill will repeal Section 2 of Chapter 86-364, which required Broward County and the City of Fort Lauderdale to manage waterway markers on the intercoastal waterway in Broward County. The Fish and Wildlife Commission has amended their rules to remove Broward County's responsibility to provide signage and agrees to assume long-term maintenance for regulatory signage. That is the bill, Madam Chair.
Great. Thank you, Representative Clark Reed. Members, are there any questions on the bill? Okay. And is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak?
Yes, wave in support. Thank you.
Wave in support. Justice for Jesus. Waves in support. Okay. Is there any debate on the bill? Okay. Seeing no debate, you're recognized to close on your bill.
Wave closed, Madam Chair.
Great. Thank you. And Martha, will you please call roll?
Chair Mayfield?
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Diaz? Dudley?
Yes.
Moritas?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Pigman?
Yes.
Rader?
Yes.
Ray? Smith?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
The bill passes.
Great. Thank you. And by your vote, we'll show House Bill 869 is reported favorably.
Thank you, Madam
Thank
Chair and
you.
committee members.
Okay, members, next we will have Representative Faint, and we'll also, after him, here's the next lineup. Kerner, Adkins, Rollerson, and Rodriguez's three bills. So if you guys will be ready, we'll be great. And Representative Faint, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair. Thank you. House Bill 959, local bill from Jacksonville, City of Jacksonville, adding a special zone so as to provide an exception for space and seating requirements for liquor licenses for restaurants in a definable zone. This bill was sent by the Duval delegation, approved unanimously by our local city council and the local merchants association relevant to that district. Happy to answer questions, Chair.
Great, thank you. Members, are there any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, is there anyone from the audience wishing to speak? No one wishing to speak? Okay, members, we're in debate. Seeing no debate, you're recognized to close on your bill.
Wait, close, Chair.
Great. Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield?
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Diaz? Dudley?
Yes.
Moritas?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Pigman?
Yes.
Rader?
Yes.
Ray? Smith? Stone?
Yes.
Sullivan? Yes. The bill passes, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. And members, by your vote, House Bill 959 will be reported favorably.
Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, Representative Kerner, you're up. You will take up 1167, and it's related to City of West Palm Beach.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Much like Representative Eagle's bill, this deals with the firefighters' pension fund locally in the City of West Palm Beach and Chapter 175 money. There is an amendment, Madam Chair.
Great, you're recognized to explain the amendment.
The amendment to HB 1167 just makes technical changes due to some drafting errors that occurred prior to its arrival in Tallahassee.
Great. Is there any members' questions on the amendment? No questions on the amendment. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak on just the amendment? Okay. Is debate on the amendment? Okay. You're recognized to close on the amendment.
Waive close.
Great. Without objections, we'll show the amendment adopted. Now we're back on the bill as amended. Members, are there any questions on the bill as amended? Okay. Seeing none, we have one person from the audience, Rocco Salavatore. Waves in support, Florida Professional Firefighters. Thank you very much. And members, we are in debate. Any debate on the bill? Okay, seeing none, you're recognized to close.
Waive close, Madam Chair.
Great. Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield?
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Diaz? Dudley?
Yes.
Moritas?
Yes.
Murphy? Pigman?
Yes.
Rader?
Yes.
Ray? Smith?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Sullivan? Yes. The bill passes, Madam
Great. And by your vote, members, House Bill 1167 will be reported favorably as amended. Thank you very much. Okay, Representative Adkins. We're going to take up House Bill 1201, and that's related to Ocean Highway and Port Authority in Nassau County. You're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1201 authorizes the Ocean Highway and Port Authority in Nassau County to conduct partisan elections. The elections would be conducted by the Nassau County Supervisor of Elections using the procedures provided in the Florida Election Code. And that's the bill, Madam Chair.
Great. Members, are there any questions on the bill? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak? And we do have Richard Bruce with the Ocean Highway and Port Authority. Great, thank you. He waves in support. Next one is Michael Harrison, he's representing himself.
May I speak from here?
You may speak from the podium. And we always like people coming in to represent themselves in here.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you could call me a concerned citizen of Nassau County. The bill before you seeks to change the charter that the legislature here has issued to the Ocean Highway Port Authority to change the election process from one which is not specifically partisan or non-partisan, seeks to make it partisan. And I speak in opposition to that. Nassau County is an unequally represented county. We have approximately 54% of our electorate are affiliated Republican, about 25% Democrat, and the remainder are other. Due to the vagaries of the write-in process, what this means is that candidates can frequently be elected at the party primary under partisan elections, and therefore the voters who are not part of the majority party do not get a vote in that election. This cuts both ways, of course, in constituencies where there's a strong Democratic majority, the same sins apply, and I would oppose partisan elections in those cases too. The issue becomes significant when you consider that the ballots for the OHPA commissioner positions are held as part of the general election process by the Nassau County Supervisor of Elections, and they appear low down on the ballot form. Now, I think we expect our voters to cast their votes. They're going to go in for the headline races. When it comes down to Ocean Highway Port Authority, they probably don't know very much about the candidates involved. And as Representative Atkins said at the legislative hearing, she believes that knowing the party of affiliation of the candidate provides some transparency and gives voters some further information on the candidate that they're voting for. I submit that it only tells the voters which party that candidate is affiliated with and gives them no tangible information other than party as to who to vote for. And so in consequence, what we have is a race that is stacked very clearly in favor of the majority party when you establish partisan elections. Opposing candidates from minority parties are reluctant to stand because they know it's a no-win exposure in the election. And when it comes to the ballot, the majority of people, I believe, rather than waste a vote by not voting or abstaining on the OHPA section, are in fact going to vote the party line. And I don't think that that is good for the electorate, and it's certainly not good for the Port Authority. They would benefit from a greater diversity in representation, I believe, and the link between the Ocean Highway Port Authority and the community would be strengthened if the 46% of the population which did not have a chance to vote for their candidate was actually involved. So, in closing, let me finally say I think that party politics has got nothing at all to do with the good management of a Port Authority. The Port Authority was established in the 90s, and the elections have been held on a partisan basis in error since then, And it was only this November that it was discovered that the charter, in fact, did not allow partisan elections. So my request is that you throw out this bill. It's not going to do any good, and it's probably going to do some harm. It would help the image of the Ocean Highway Port Authority within Nassau County and the city of Fernandina Beach to know that this decision has been reversed. And I certainly, I will wave in opposition, if that's the right term. Thank you.
I think it was a little too late to waive in opposition, but you did a great job. Thank you, Mr. Harrison, for coming up here. Members, are there any questions of Mr. Harrison since he made the trip up here? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, members, we are now in debate. Any debate? Any debate? Seeing none, Representative Atkins, you're recognized to close on your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Ocean Highway and Port Authority of Nassau County was originally chartered in 1941 and has held partisan elections since that time. There was a resolution that was passed by the Ocean Highway Port Authority that then made its way to the Nassau delegation, and it was voted unanimously by the Nassau delegation in support of this bill. I would ask for your support today.
Great, thank you. Martha, would you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield.
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Diaz. Dudley.
No.
Moritas. Murphy. Pigman.
Yes.
Rader.
No.
Ray.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Sullivan. The bill passes.
Great, thank you. And by your vote, we'll show House Bill 1201 reported favorably. Thank you,
Thank you.
Representative. Okay, next we have Representative Rollerson, and then after him, we'll have the Rodriguez Show. You are recognized to explain House Bill 1217 with Hillsborough River Technical Advisory Council.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, members. The dissolution of the Southwest Water Management District Basin Boards requires an update to the enabling legislation, since the existing law provides that a member of the now defunct Basin Board must serve on the River Board's Technical Advisory Council. Consequently, a reduction of the Technical Advisory Council's membership would require that a quorum be reduced from 6 to 5. Also, this removes a mandatory 4-year term for citizen members of the TAC, allowing for local governments to set their own terms for their appointed citizen members, and consistent with the terms of the agency staff members under existing law. And that, Madam Chair, is the bill.
Great, thank you. Members, any questions on the bill? Okay, seeing none, we have Diane Saltz, is that correct, with the Hillsborough County Planning Commission?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hillsborough County Planning Commission waives this.
Great, waves in support. Members, we are now in, Justice for Jesus. You are falling behind.
Hey, 18 bills, hey.
Hey, we're moving.
Brian Pitts, Just Jesus on this one. This is a silo, and it is a form of government. You look at the bill. It was established in '86. Do you need it now? No. There's several water entities in Tampa Bay area that can be used to completely get rid of this entity. Not only that, to show you how unserious it is, you look at the bill, and it says for the particular entities that they will pick it or its chairperson, page 3. It says the commission or its executive director. It says, then it goes on, each entity, it used to be just the entity would pick or appoint, and it says either or, like they're having a problem even organizing it to actually convene at some point in time. Make it even worse, then you turn to page 3, on line 56, alternates may be designated by the appointing authorities. But wait a minute. Is this entity working or not? In other words, when you set a panel or entity, you expect the entity to do it or the elected official to be it, and that's it. It has it here, the entity or someone from the entity that they pick, or if the entity is not available, and the side person that mentions there as the alternative is not available, they can choose another alternative, each appointing authority, that's not mentioned in the group. Sound like y'all having a problem. It's time to dissolve it then. It was fine in 1986. You can't now. Here's another. Can it be done another way? Yes. Like I said, there's several water entities. Even the Hillsborough County Commission could set up by ordinance its own little outfit to deal with this. So what is the need for this? Stop kicking the can. One thing you know with governments is you're trying to dissolve districts or entities like this. So when you get local bills like this, you should be, first thing looking at, wait a minute, we're trying to get rid of government, and remember this body always talking about special districts and how to keep the proliferation of them continue to grow and grow. Now's your opportunity to start getting rid of some of them, and you're speaking through these bills and everything. Here's one where you may need to look at and says, we don't need this entity anymore. If anything, it is a duplication, because all this entity does is make recommendations for the water outfit. That's all it does. So it doesn't do any major. You don't need it. Recommendations, and you're going to spend money. They do use money, by the way. Okay, it's a silo.
Justice for Jesus is in opposition of this bill. Members, we're in debate. Debate, seeing none, you're recognized to close on your bill.
Madam Chair, I would just say that we are at least going in the right direction. We're going from 11 to 10 members. So with that, I would close. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield.
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Diaz. Dudley. Moritas. Murphy. Higman. Rader. Ray. Smith. Stone. Sullivan. The bill passes.
Great. Members, by your vote, we'll show House Bill 1217 reported favorably.
Thank you, members.
You're quite welcome. Okay, Representative Rodriguez, we're going to take up House Bill 421, Traffic Enforcement Agency and Traffic Citations. You are recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Chair. We have an amendment. Would you like to address that first?
Can you explain the bill?
Sure.
Briefly, and then we'll go into the amendment.
Very good. Under current law, there is statute that expressly prohibits state agencies and entities from having traffic citation quotas. However, it's a gray area whether that expressly prohibits counties and municipalities from having traffic citation quotas. This bill would clarify that, make it black and white, and prohibit counties and municipalities from having traffic citation quotas. It would also require counties and municipalities to report to the Joint Legislative Auditing Committee if the total revenue received in a fiscal year from traffic citations exceeds 50% of the total expenses incurred to operate its law enforcement agency during that same fiscal year. That is the bill.
Great, thank you. And I do believe you have an amendment. If you'll explain, go ahead and explain the amendment now.
Thank you, Chair. This amendment conforms the House bill to the Senate bill, and it lowers the percentage of revenues from 50% to 33% to trigger the reporting to the Joint Legislative Auditing Committee. That is the amendment.
Great, thank you. Members, are there any questions on the amendment? Seeing no questions, there's no one from the audience that wishes to speak on the amendment. We're in debate on the amendment. Seeing none, you're recognized to close on the amendment.
Waive close.
Great. Well, without objection, show that amendment adopted. Now we're back on the bill as amended. Members, are there any questions on the bill as amended? Okay, seeing none, we have two people from the audience. Matt Puckett, is that correct? Florida Police Benevolence. Great, waves in support. We also have Lee Moffitt, representing AAA Auto Club Group.
Morning, Madam Chairman.
Morning.
Members. This is a good bill. It's been a long time coming from AAA's perspective. AAA has long supported legislation that would ensure that traffic safety and not just raising money should be the sole purpose behind law enforcement, certainly traffic enforcement. We don't want our citizens, and certainly not our tourists, to continue to be victims of those that would write tickets unnecessarily just to raise money. Trust in the law and law enforcement from our perspective is paramount, and we have to ensure that our law enforcement is above reproach. We learned over the years that traffic traps have been set up, and those traffic traps enable those cities and counties that would establish quotas for the number of citations issued. And for decades, AAA has vigorously worked to correct the traffic trap problem in the Sunshine State. When back in the early 90s, when complaints became rampant, we did a 4-month study of the situation, and we audited the city traffic citations in the Florida towns of Waldo, Lodi, and at the time Hampton. And we verified back then that those cities were in fact traffic traps, They were conducting law enforcement primarily as a means to raise revenue for those cities and municipalities. So I don't know if you remember, AAA has triptychs, and on the triptychs that they would issue to people, they would stamp all over the triptychs, traffic traps, trying to warn people. We even put up billboards in and out of those cities, big, large billboards that said, warning, traffic traps ahead, and for over 10 years paid out of AAA's coffers to warn people about the traffic traps that were being conducted in those cities, particularly in Waldo. So today, 20 years later, I forgot to say, we tried to pass a similar law back when we found out about this in the 90s. And the cities came up and testified before the legislature saying, no, that we're only doing this for the safety of our citizens. We had no intention of setting quotas. Well, we found out today that that was certainly not the case. So 20 years later, it's finally time to put the end to this kind of nonsense, and we commend Representative Rodriguez and urge your favorable consideration of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Moffitt. Okay, Mr. Pitts, Justice for Jesus.
Thank you very much, Brian Pitts, Justice Jesus, on this particular one. I caught a course across the hall. Obviously, diplomacy, I would expect, be done, typical, before you do some type of prohibition like this. But here's something also about this bill. If they do the quota, there's no penalty. Because in existing law, you see the other state agencies which no quota, they can't do it either. Already in certain, and of course staff analysis brings that out on page 2. But there's no penalty, no official penalty would they do it. So you see on this bill you're done with the locals. Because, okay, it wasn't against them, the staff analysis brings it very clear. There was no prohibition for them. Still, the bill doesn't solve the problem. Because still in the bill, there's no penalty for the officials. So if they do it, they do it. And then you say, if they get, because it used to be 50%, now with the amendment it's 33%. Okay, so it gets 33%. And you're going to report it to the joint auditing committee. I might report it. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm talking about. The Joint Auditing Committee has already problems with local government reporting things like pensions and other fiscal things. And sometimes they are actually insubordinate, and the Joint Auditing Committee has actually, in a sense, had to sanction localities for not reporting things already that are more important, like I say, like pensions and fiscal issues. And they've sat the past 2 years dealing with the issues of how are we going to sanction them for not reporting to us. So now you have this. All I have to do is not report it. How you going to know? And I'll continue to, and here's the thing. In the bill also, you can do the quota, but when you get the 33%, you got to tell us. So you're saying they still could do the quota, it just has to be limited by 33%. Actually, 33% is the quota. So you actually set it for them. So actually the intent of the bill, what you're trying to do, it actually doesn't solve the problem at all. They can still do it. There is no surveillance. There still is no accountability. I don't know what is in this bill to support. I guess surprise. I just won't report it. How y'all gonna know?
Okay, Justice for Jesus is in opposition of the bill. Is there members wishing to debate on the bill? Okay, seeing none, your Representative Rodriguez, you're recognized to close on your bill.
Thank you, Chair. I would just point out that all municipalities are currently audited by the Auditor General on a rotational basis. So if their numbers that they're providing to the state are incorrect, that would be picked up then, and there would be sanctions at that time. The goal of this is, first of all, we do expressly prohibit quotas. And second, we're going to shine a spotlight on those municipalities and counties. They're policing not for public safety, but policing for profit. And I think that's something we want to end here today. So I ask for your support.
Great. Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield.
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Diaz. Dudley.
Yes.
Moritas.
Yes.
Murphy. Pigman.
Yes.
Rader.
Yes.
Ray. Smith. Stone. Sullivan.
Yes.
The bill passes.
Great. By your vote, members, will show House Bill 421 as amended is reported favorably. Okay, we're going to go right into House Bill 983, Villages of Estera.
Yes, thank you, Chair. These next two bills are local bills, and they're both to fix a glitch from my last year's local bill, which led to the referendum on the incorporation of Estero. And I want to start by thanking your committee staff. Eric Miller and his staff have been a great help in getting these bills in the proper posture. So thank you.
Great. And I believe you do have an amendment.
I do. The amendment moves language from that is in the second bill, which was an amendment that was passed at the local delegation unanimously, off of that bill onto this one. And the reason for that is at the time, we thought we would merge these two bills into one when we got to this point in the process, but I learned we did not have the proper notice requirement, so they have to run as two separate bills, and that amendment belongs on this bill and not the other one.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any questions on the amendment? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak? Okay, without objections, we'll show that adopted, and now we're back on the bill as amended.
Thank you. The glitch on this bill is that when a new municipality is incorporated, they are eligible to participate in revenue sharing with the state. However, in order to participate in revenue sharing with the state, you have to produce 3 years' worth of audits. Obviously, if you're a new municipality, you don't have 3 years' worth of audits. So it's typical to give them a waiver in that process. Although we had the waiver in the bill, the glitch was the waiver was only for 1 year and not the 3. And so this bill gives them that waiver. The other thing this bill does is it expressly authorizes the village to use the millage that's levied by the Estero Fire Rescue District for purposes of counting towards that. That is also standard for municipalities, and we just want to make sure that's included for the municipality of Estero.
Great, thank you. Members, are there any questions on the bill as amended? Okay, seeing none, there's no one from the audience wishing to speak on it, and we are in debate. Seeing no debate, okay, you're recognized to close.
Waive close.
Great. Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield.
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Diaz. Dudley.
Yes.
Moritas. Murphy. Pigman.
Yes.
Rader.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Stone. Sullivan.
Yes.
The bill passes.
Great, thank you. By your vote, we'll show House Bill 983 as amended, reported favorably. Thank you, and now we'll go into your House Bill 1093.
Thank you. In order to respect property rights, as we were moving forward with the Village of Estero's referendum vote, we granted everyone that lived in the 2-mile buffer between what would be the proposed Village of Estero and the municipality south of that to elect whether they wanted to voluntarily annex into the city south, Bonita Springs, or remain where they were and be incorporated into the new Village of Estero. Several property owners have elected to voluntarily annex into Bonita Springs. They did get their paperwork in time. However, there was a delay in the processing to get me a revised map in time for us to get it done in the process last year. So what we were doing is recognizing those voluntary annexation and respecting those property rights.
Okay, now you have an amendment on this one as well.
Yes, this was the amendment where we removed the section, the DRI section, and put it on the previous bill. That was the amendment.
Okay, members, any questions on this amendment? Okay, no one from the audience wishing to speak. There's no debate. Any debate? Okay, and recognized to close on the amendment.
Waive close.
Okay, without objection, show that amendment adopted. Now we're back on the bill as amended. Members, are there any questions on the bill as amended? Okay, seeing no questions, no one from the audience is wishing to speak on this bill, and members, we're in debate. No debate, and Representative Rodriguez, you're recognized to close on your bill.
Waive close.
Great. Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield.
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Diaz. Dudley.
Yes.
Moritas.
Yes.
Murphy. Pigman.
Yes.
Rader.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Stone. Sullivan.
Yes.
The bill passes.
Great. Members, by your vote, we'll show House Bill 1093 reported favorably as amended. Okay,
you, Chair.
now, members, we are going to take up the next bills will be Perry, Edwards, Murphy, Caldwell, and Diaz. So, Representative Perry, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
1325, the Gainesville Regional Utility Commission.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. This bill is a local bill that deals with our Gainesville regional utilities. It is fairly simple. If this bill passes, it would put a referendum vote for the city electors to decide whether or not they wanted an independent board that would be underneath the city commission to manage the Gainesville regional utilities, and that is the bill.
Okay, and I believe you do have an amendment on the bill?
And the amendment really is it just really deletes unnecessary and repetitive provisions in the original bill.
Okay. Members, are there any questions on the amendment? Vice Chair Moritas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I noticed it says it's going to cost $160,000 to set this board up and pay for it. What are the savings you think will be achieved by the board?
Representative Perry.
Thank you. Well, we hope Gainesville Regional Utilities, we have the highest rates in the state of Florida, and they continue to rise. And so we hope that out of a $375 million enterprise, that this independent board that would focus solely on the management of Gainesville Regional Utilities would have an opportunity to do cost savings across the board. We're one of the largest utilities, or are the largest utilities that's still managed by the City Commission. So we hope to have the City Commission appoint, and it would be under the direction of the City Commission that would be appointed to manage the daily, not the daily, to be the Board of Directors for Gainesville Regional Utilities.
Okay. Representative Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you, Representative. Was the bill brought to you by the delegation like a regular local bill, or where did this one start?
Representative Perry.
Thank you. This started when constituents, lots and lots of constituents, one in particular, my wife, when she paid our GRU bill every month.
Yeah, we tend to do that.
But lots and lots of constituents brought this to my attention.
Any other questions on the amendment? Okay. Do I have anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on the amendment? Doesn't appear to be so. Debate on the amendment? Okay, seeing none, you're recognized to close on your amendment. Great. Without objections, we'll show that amendment adopted. Now we're back on the bill as amended. Members, are there any questions on the bill as amended? Okay, seeing none, we have Craig Carter wishing to speak.
Madam Chair, as a member, Craig Carter, City Commissioner, Gainesville, Florida, representing 125,000 people. The City Commission has heard Representative Perry loud and clear that change needs to come. We started back in January of 14 and talking throughout ourselves about possible governance systems and about a governing board. Recently, we did take a vote in opposition unanimously to this bill. One of the things that concerns the City Commission, right now we are in the search of a general manager. Should this bill come out of this committee today, that would literally cripple our search for general manager, because in this bill, it would not allow that general manager to carry over to the new position, as the bill was stated. And so as we go forward, we hear Representative Perry loud and clear. We are working as fast as we can with 7 people, trying to come up with a good governance system for GRU. Just as early as last night, the citizens voted for city commissioners in a runoff to change the makeup of the very commission that caused a lot of these problems. I am a newly elected representative. The city commission has been in a steady change, and we understand that we represent a lot of people in the city of Gainesville with GRU. We respect Representative's concerns. We are trying to address them. Where he is correct, we do have the highest utility rates, and all the utility rates throughout the state of Florida go up, just as inflation will always cause things to go up. We also have a wide, diverse power system. We have biomass, we have solar feed, and we have coal-fired, and we also have natural gas. These are some of the things that we're very proud of at the city of Gainesville, where we do understand that we need to control our rates. These things did come at a cost at another city commission. This bill will not reverse those contracts. We are in the position we're in. And I'm asking you today for a no vote so we can go out and attempt to hire a general manager to run our utilities in an efficient manner for all the citizens they serve in and outside of the city of Gainesville.
Representative Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When was the GRU established?
Over 100 years ago.
Follow-up?
Yes.
Thank you. You said you heard the representatives' issues this year, and that long-term of the steady increase of power bills in that area, why did it take until just last year for this to become an issue for you guys to finally address it?
I would say the makeup of the city commission, member, is steadily changing. I would say that we had a city commission that was, quite frankly, more interested in a power plant than the rates, and I don't think Representative Perry can disagree with that. I think the citizens are voting people in right now to look at the full aspect of GRU, the rates and the power supplies.
Follow-up?
Follow-up, yes, sir.
Has this not been also a change of policy back and forth continuously during that 100 years?
I could not address back to 100 years, to be quite frank with you.
One more?
Other questions? Oh, you want to follow up?
Just
I'm sorry.
one last
Okay.
one.
No, go ahead.
Do you not think that what the representative is about to do will help prevent the consistent increase of rates in that area?
I disagree with that. I don't see how you can stop increase of rates when you always have inflation. Rates are going to go up no matter what utility. That has been a proven fact. You cannot stop rates.
Are there questions?
Tracy.
I have just a question. Mr. Oh, I'm sorry. Ranking Member Campbell, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, this is troubling me a lot because for me to see you standing here and asking us to vote no on something so good, he tried to help you guys out. Because as a constituent and elected official, for me to be representing my constituent and then they have a rate increasing, you know, every month or whatever the increase is, and 100 years this thing been there, and he tried to help you, and you're standing here telling us to vote no on it. You should congratulate him and say, thank you, Representative Perry, for changing this, because the constituents need a break. So I will vote yes for it, and congratulations for this.
I respect you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How many of your ratepayers live in the unincorporated area?
I don't have that number off the top of my head. Approximately a third.
Okay. And do you have a utility director?
A general manager or director of utilities?
A director of utilities.
I don't know what you're asking. I mean, we have the general manager of utilities, and
Okay.
yes.
So the general manager...
We have an interim general manager right now, madam.
Okay, so the general manager that you're talking about is the utility director, and he's the new person coming on board.
Nobody's coming on board right now. We have an interim general manager at this time. We've made drastic changes at GRU by replacing the governance of GRU, the running of GRU. We are in the search right now. We start interviews next week, and we had to disclose this bill to those candidates, which obviously, if they don't know what their future is going to be. And to address, we do respect our ratepayers, and we just feel that this is something that the citizens themselves are actually handling at home through the process of voting.
Right. And but this is also a referendum as well.
Yes,
so those
ma'am.
people, the citizens will get to vote again whether or not they want to go in this direction.
Yes, ma'am, it is. But it is our belief, as long as this bill is in process right now, it'll stifle our ability to bring a general manager in, and it'll actually have an adverse effect on getting the company, the GRU, going forward. That is our beliefs, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, members, there's no one else in the audience wishing to... Brian Pitts, Justice for Jesus. Now, I'm assuming you have all these appearance cards all filled out, stacked, and... I'm going to get them to you. Okay. Good job.
Right. And I was going to ignore this, actually. But if you said it, okay, even if it's by referendum, guess what it is? It's still an expansion of government. So there's going to be an increase, an entity or board or whatever which did not exist before, you're telling them to go and vote on. And most likely they probably say, yeah. What they don't know about the year is you now have, it wasn't one entity, and you're unhappy with it. Now you got that entity you was unhappy with, and a new one to take care of your utilities that never showed up on your ad valorem statement before. Also, also, this new entity, whatever powers and authorities it will have with the entity you don't like right now. Now, the people are not going to know that when they vote. They're not going to see the suspension of the government of another entity that may end up taxing them to death eventually. So when you say save money, and you say, well, they're going to vote, come on, they're going to vote for it. Come on, they're going to think, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. But what is this entity eventually going to do if it gets out of hand? Versus, here we go again, dealing with diplomacy. And I understand, unfortunately, it got heated up here a little bit, but very politely. But that's why I tell you, okay, the sponsor didn't mention anything about him doing proper diplomacy, like you always say. And it's not an issue, it's a stakeholder issue. This is even more important, diplomacy. Who knows how long it may take? It may be very stringent, yeah, it may be lies, all that kind of garbage. But you weed through that, as elected officials, you're supposed to say, hey, we're going to be honest with one another. Do I need to do this bill today? Sponsor didn't do that. So you have hostility coming up from the other side, whether legitimate or not. The thing is, that ought not happen in a committee like this. The sponsors should have said straight up, I've already dealt with it. We couldn't come to any agreement. Yes, they're probably here today, but they're going to be able to say, I tried to work with them, everything else, it didn't work out. No, that's not what the sponsor said. And that's what I would expect from elected officials to be said. So it wouldn't be this hostility which you just saw. Well, you always say, I'm saying it again, get with stakeholders or what's the county's position or the government. You always say it. Get any do on this one. So you want to attack the gentleman, whether he's saying true or not. The issue is we see diplomacy was not done. In other words, he did not say, there's nothing else we could do. We got to move with this bill. I've tried and worked with him. It didn't work out. That's not what the sponsor said. That's besides the point that the sponsor not thinking that it can be expansion of government. And now, in this bill, it doesn't take in consider the savings or loss on that. You're supposed to be representing the people and everything they won't be thinking about when they vote on something or get involved in something. You're not doing that on this. It's got some more stops. Yeah, I'm going to see this later. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts. Okay, members, we're in debate. Representative Moritas.
I normally would defer to the cities on something like this. I just, after reading some of the staff analysis, particularly the recommendation from the chambers that, this utility and Representative Perry's testimony, this utility has one of the highest rates in the entire state, that other cities have gone to these other governance models that Representative Perry is suggesting they've achieved significant savings. And so even though we're creating another level of government, which I know we don't like to do, in this case it seems to be a good idea, so I'll be voting the bill. Yes.
Any other debate? Any other debate? Okay, I'll just want to make a few comments on it too. This is, quite frankly, I understand exactly where Representative Perry is coming from on this because I have the same issue in Vero Beach. You have 33% of the constituents that are ratepayers that have no representation on the city because they do not live in the city limits in the unincorporated area. And in speaking with Representative Perry, it's my understanding that he has worked with the city council. They have asked for changes, and the citizens are not being recognized in what the issues are, and the city continues to continue to do what they want to do because they can. So, Representative Perry, I commend you for bringing this bill forward. I don't view this as another layer of government. I view it as taking a utility away from the city with an independent board that's going to oversee it, that's going to have the best interest of the ratepayers in mind, not necessarily the revenue that the city's going to be able to generate from a utility fund that they have. So with that, I will be supporting the bill. And Ranking Member Campbell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Perry, I really commend you for this because you're really standing up for the constituent you represent, because you don't let, the city or county, take over your constituents, and I commend you for that. Thank you very much for standing up for your constituents.
Great. And with that, Representative Perry, you're recognized to close.
Thank you. And first, thank you, Chair, for working with us in this, and Eric Miller for you and your staff working, helping us get this thing in right posture and then agendaed. Just one thing, and I'll certainly address this later. I'm pretty sure that we addressed the management issue already in this bill. I spoke with the mayor, and I spoke with Commissioner Carter and some other ones. So that provision, I believe, is taken out of this. I will check that. If it's not, it will be at the next stop. But this is simply what to give the voters a chance to decide themselves on the governing structure. So I would ask for your favorable support. Thank you.
Great, thank Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield?
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Diaz? Dudley?
Yes.
Moritas?
Yes.
Murphy? Pigman?
Yes.
Rader?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Stone? Sullivan?
Yes.
The bill passes.
Great. Members, by your vote, will show House Bill 1325 reported favorably. Okay. Okay, members, we are going to take up Committee Substitute House Bill 383 by Representative Edwards and Perry, and you are recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Chair Mayfield and members. Good morning. At the onset, I want to thank staff for their support and their help on this bill. They have helped us to fine-tune the language and get us to a point where we can present the strike bill before you today. But I want to give you an overview of the bill and why this is important, why we have this before us today. Members, the Supreme Court has held that a government cannot deny a land use permit based on the landowner's refusal to accede to the government's demands to either turn over property or pay money to the government unless there is a nexus and rough proportionality between the government's demand on the landowner and the effect of the proposed land use. Governmental exactions are unconstitutional. Although federal law appears to provide a cause of action for unconstitutional exactions, it is unclear whether current Florida law provides a cause of action for unconstitutional takings as it applies to these unconstitutional exactions by local and state governments, and whether monetary damages would be available in such cases. The strike bill before you creates a cause of action to recover monetary damages where landowners are encountered with a governmental entity that imposes a condition that rises to that level of unconstitutional exactions. To give you kind of an idea of what we're talking about, members, the doctrine of unconstitutional conditions or exactions prohibits government from denying a benefit to a person because he or she exercises or vindicates a constitutional right. In a recent court case, the court explained that these extortionate demands for property in the land use permitting context run afoul of the Fifth Amendment takings clause, not because they take property, but because they impermissibly burden the right not to have property taken without just compensation. An unconstitutional exaction is a condition imposed by a governmental entity on a property. It's based on the owner's proposed use of real property, lacking again that essential nexus to the legitimate public purpose, and is not roughly proportionate to the harm the government entity seeks to avoid, minimize, or mitigate. We have before you helps that property owner to bring a cause of action and be able to recover damages and bring these types of issues to light so we can stop these remedies in the first place from happening. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And I believe you do have an amendment.
We do. We have a strike all before us. There are two sections before you. Section 1 makes several clarifications to the Burt-Harris Act, all of which are for the benefit of local and state government, in my opinion. Those include clarifying that only the property owner which is directly the subject of a governmental regulation or decision has a cause of action. This is consistent, members, with a very recent holding from the First District Court of Appeals and is clarification of the original statute. It also clarifies that the settlement options within the Burt-Harris Act can be negotiated at any point of a Harris claim, meaning both before actual litigation and during the pendency of litigation. It allows governmental entities to enter into these shade sessions with counsel at the time of receiving the pre-suit notice to give them a chance to review it and then determine how they're going to proceed. And it also immunizes local governments from the Harris Act claims as they relate to the ministerial act of adopting FEMA-issued flood map zones. Representative Caldwell can explain that in further detail. And then we have Section 2, which codifies a cause of action under Florida law. The governmental entities impose unlawful exactions as a condition of a requested use of land. We define the prohibited exaction using language directly from the U.S. Supreme Court decision in Coots. We define damages. We require a 90-day pre-suit notice period to afford an opportunity to resolve the claim without litigation, and requires actual imposition of the exaction in order for the claim to be ripe under this new section. Members, that's the strike all.
Great. And I understand that Representative Caldwell has a section of the strike all that he'd like to explain.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Representative Caldwell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to Representative Edwards for agreeing to incorporate this in her strike all. As she had indicated, there's a portion regarding FEMA maps. Your local governments are required as a prerequisite of having flood insurance offered by the federal government in their community. They are required to adopt in whole the FEMA maps and their regular updates that are provided by FEMA. They have no discretion as to how those maps are at least initially developed. And so this clarifies that if property rights are infringed by a result of the FEMA map change, that the local government, who is simply in a ministerial role in this process, would not be subject to the claim in a Burt Harris action.
Okay, great, thank you. And I also understand that Representative Dudley has a provision of this amendment that he also would like to explain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Essentially, my amendment attempts to make more fair, equal, and reasonable the provision of attorney's fees. Presently, I think it's weighted too heavily in favor of the private interest in that, well, when it comes to the governmental entity, it judges the private claims as just being, proving bad faith is a very high standard and probably more difficult to prove, whereas the government standard is much more stringent. And the colorable basis for relief saying, well, here's the operative line essentially: the court may award attorney's fees and costs to the governmental entity if the court finds that the property owner filed the action in bad faith and absent a colorable basis for relief. My amendment essentially makes it even and equal, where it would just say the court may award prejudgment interest, costs, and reasonable attorney's fees to the prevailing party. Very simple, very streamlined, no advantage to one side or the other, judged by the same measure on both sides, as opposed to giving an advantage. The concern, well, that's the explanation, but I'll save the rest.
Okay, now let me back up on that too. I apologize. That was an amendment to the strike all amendment. Sorry. That was an amendment to the strike all amendment that you just explained, correct? Okay. Now, members, are there any questions on the amendment to the amendment?
Yes.
Representative Ranking Member Campbell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Dudley, if this amendment is a friendly amendment?
Representative Edwards.
I hope so. I'm attempting to do something fair to balance this so it's not overburdensome for either side, that there's an equal standard for both sides.
Okay. Representative Edwards, would you like to answer that question as well?
Thank you, Representative Campbell, for the question. And with all due respect to my good colleague, I don't view it as friendly, and I'll tell you why. This is my concern. To argue that the government somehow has an unfair advantage, I would ask you members, as you go through your county or city's budget process, they will cut park hours, they will cut library hours. When do you ever hear them cutting about their attorney's fees or, hiring outside counsel or contracting out? Those are one of the biggest concerns I hear from my local folks. I don't have any government that's actually scared of, lawsuits. In fact, I think that they are full of attorneys and want to take on these types of cases. My argument is I don't want to hinder the property owner who has dealt with this type of unconstitutional exaction to fear not being able to bring this to light because they can't afford to go and hire counsel. Government already has people. They have sometimes general counsel that work full-time. They contract with outside attorneys. So to say that they somehow have less of a playing field or unfair advantage, I think is simply a unfounded statement. I put the notice in there that we would be able to give government a chance to receive these claims, take appropriate action. Really, if you think about this, to strike the offending language, the unconstitutional exaction, or the special condition from a permit, in that pre-suit time. The remedy there is really specific performance that would avoid having to go to litigation and therefore incur those costs. And I hope that governments, one, would not do this, but two, would take advantage of that to be able to avoid having to incur those extra costs. But I think, being able to, for a property owner that's already been through this type of hellacious experience, and then say, you know what, if you lose, you will have to then pay their attorney's fees, I think is a chilling effect to private property owners, and I think does a disservice what we're trying to do. And that's why it's unfriendly, in my opinion.
Right. Representative, or Ranking Member Campbell, a follow-up?
Follow-up, Madam Chair. Let me ask him another question. If your amendment is like, if I win the case and I have to pay the attorney's fee for the government plus my attorney's fees, so I would pay double fees because I know, the government pay the attorneys to the taxpayers. As a taxpayer, so I would pay double time. Just explain it to us because your amendment really trouble everyone. I don't know.
Representative Dudley?
No, that would be completely inaccurate. It does not. If you win the case, you have attorney's fees awarded. The court has the power to award attorney's fees, court costs, pre-judgment interest, and reasonable attorney's fees to the prevailing party. So if you win, the court has the power to give you attorney's fees. So if the other side wins, then they have fees awarded. The great danger and risk in this whole thing, if we have strike suits, if this is going to encourage a lot of people to be suing the government, we're the government and we represent the people, and it's the people's money. So it seems a little risky and dangerous to make it real easy for people to be able to sue and have no recourse, no consequences if they're doing it, if they're not doing it in good faith. So this is just attempting to balance this to make it fair. If you come with a suit that is not in good faith, that this is a cottage industry for too many people. I think we've heard of a group of people on public records requests, going all over the state, suing like crazy. Things completely out of balance. They're collecting millions of dollars. And who do you think pays? The citizens pay. So, it may sound like a great thing to, create this new trove of money for people to access, but it's taxpayer dollars, and that's what I'm concerned about. And I think just a fair and balanced measure saying, it's not complicated. This is an even standard. A court may award prejudgment interest, cost, and reasonable attorney's fees to the prevailing party. Very simple.
Okay, Vice Chair Moritas has a question.
And I'm not sure who to ask this question of. I guess my question would be, under Byrd-Harris and some of the other causes of action for this type of thing, is there a prevailing parties? Is that the standard, or would this be a new thing that Representative Dudley is introducing, or is that the kind of the current state of the law?
Representative Dudley, would you like to answer Vice Chair Moritas' question, or ask someone from...
I apologize. My colleague was asking me a question.
I'm sorry. The question is, under Byrd-Harris and some of the other causes of action, maybe we have an expert that can answer this, is prevailing party the normal standard for attorney's fees, or is it something else?
I candidly don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay, is there someone from the audience that would like to answer that question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gary Hunter with Hopping, Green & Sams Law Firm. Representative Moritas. Under the Harris Act, there's a requirement that there be a settlement offer issued by the governmental entity. And so the fees may be awarded to the prevailing party in that case, or in those cases. It's a little more complicated than just prevailing party, based upon whether someone reasonably accepted or reasonably refused the settlement offer that was made by the governmental entity. So it's a little more complex than just a standard prevailing party standard.
Okay, any other questions, members? Okay, we have several people that would like to speak on the amendment to the strike all. So we have David Cruz with the Florida League of Cities.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. David Cruz with the Florida League of Cities. I want to thank Representative Edwards for all the time she's taken to try to address all our concerns in her bill. She's gone above and beyond in meeting with us and trying to address all the concerns that we have outstanding. We still have one big concern still outstanding, aside from the damages provision in the bill. It is the attorney's fees provision that Representative Dudley is trying to address in his amendment. The Florida League of Cities is supporting Representative Dudley in this amendment to the amendment. I think it clarifies the provision of attorney's fees. It makes it clear and makes it easy to understand. You have to keep in mind that we're taking federal case law. We're creating a brand new lawsuit in Florida that doesn't exist in any other state. And then we're going to go ahead and make it so that it awards attorney's fees to the private property owner, which might be a small person or it might be a developer that's going to develop thousands of homes and has huge pockets and has all the resources in the world versus a local government that's going to have to use their attorney resources, paying it with taxpayer dollars. The issue is pretty simple in my mind. It's a very fair standard if we go with a prevailing party, and we give it up to the court to decide. It's not a must-enforce prevailing party. It's a may prevailing party. It's just an issue of fairness. We don't want to have a cottage industry of attorneys like we've had in other areas, like in public records that Representative Dudley mentioned, where we have attorneys that are simply trying to go to trial so that they could try to claim attorney's fees. This would prevent frivolous lawsuits. It would make sure that everybody understands that you have to have a good claim. You have to have a good faith basis to bring your claim, and that you have a reasonable expectation of winning your lawsuit, not just bring forward lawsuits just to bring a lawsuit and hopefully try to make the local government settle that claim for a nuisance value. And so for that, we support Representative Dudley's amendment. We would ask for your favorable support.
Right, thank you. Any questions, members? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Next, we're going to have Sydney Miller, and she is a proponent of the amendment. She represents the city of Lake Mary.
She had to step out to another meeting, and on behalf of the League of Cities, she's
Waved in support? Okay, great, thank you. Next, we have Joel Keller with the city of OC. Same?
Step out to a meeting.
Okay, waving. That's okay. Waived in support of the amendment. We have Katie Kelly is with the Florida Chamber. Okay, are you okay? Okay, but okay. This is. Oh, sorry, we're on the wrong. That's not your fault. It's my fault. Is that all? Okay. Now we have Dominique. Of the amendment to the strike all. Okay.
On behalf of whom?
You represent Satellite Beach and Satellite Beach. Great, thank you. Next, we have Sydney Ellie with the City of West Melbourne and the Space Coast League of Cities. And she also is on Dudley's amendment, a proponent.
Thank you for the opportunity. If you go into small claims court and you bring a claim and you have two individuals, the standard is that whoever prevails can apply for attorney's fees. That is the standard. And so why would we have a different standard in this case? And I agree with Representative Dudley that this sets up a situation where you have put the municipalities at a disadvantage. And to say that municipalities have a deep pocket, we're a small municipality. We don't have a deep pocket. And so it should be a fair standard. It should be the same standard that you would have if you went into a regular court case. So we're asking you to support Representative Dudley's amendment. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, and thank you for traveling up here this week. Okay, next we have Joel Kishimer. He represents the city of Apaka.
Did leave also, Madam Chairman.
Okay. And he waives in support of Dudley's amendment. Okay, next we have Sammy Ruth with the City of Apopka. Also, I'm assuming is waiving in support of, waives in support of Dudley's amendment. Okay, is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on the amendment to the strike all amendment? Okay, Mr. Hunter.
I'll be quick. And I filled a card out on the amendment to the bill, but not the amendment to the amendment. I'll do that also if you need me to, Madam Chair. Real quickly, Gary Hunter on behalf of the Property Rights Coalition. This is a complicated issue, and I understand why Representative Dudley brought it forward. Here's the concern. If you're a landowner, and not a big landowner, not the type of people that I typically represent, but an individual landowner or small business, and your choice is to take on the government in what you believe is a legitimate case, and if you lose, pay their attorney's fees because a court can't award their attorney's fees, you would never take that case. The Kuntz case, which is, I think, precipitated Representative Edwards and Representative Perry's bill, good bill, they are in their 19th year, no kidding, 19th year of litigating that issue, starting in 1996. So if just think of the amount of governmental attorney's fees that have accrued over 19 years of litigation and still going. It's not over. They've been through 4 appeals at the 3rd District Court of Appeal. They're now in their 2nd appeal at the Florida Supreme Court, and they went to the U.S. Supreme Court. No individual, no small business would ever risk the possibility of, it would bankrupt you. It would cause you to go bankrupt if you were the subject of a judgment for attorney's fees in what you thought were a legitimate case. And the governmental side of this, I understand the concern about creating a cottage industry of lawsuits against government, and that is not what this bill is intended to do. The bill is intended to curb bad behavior. And so the way government avoids paying attorney's fees in these cases is not to impose an exaction that's unconstitutional. It's pretty simple. And if they do, then the claimant should get their attorney's fees. That's how it works in takings cases. That's how it works typically in a Harris Act case. And so I think Representative Dudley's intentions with his amendment were well intended, but I think the consequence of them is you thwart legitimate claims from folks who typically don't have the power to take on government, and it would be harmful to the intent of the bill. So I would urge you to oppose the amendment to the amendment. Thank you.
Okay, Vice Chair Moritas first, and then.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. I guess I'll first note that in that case you're referencing the landowner one, so ultimately they would actually benefit from a prevailing party clause. But as far as, I mean, my sense of this is that I know we talk about small homeowners and small business, but I really think that most of these cases are going to come up in the context of undeveloped land that they're applying for permits and they're being asked to pay impact fees. And so I guess I've asked you to share with the committee an example of something where it would be a small business owner or a small homeowner that would actually be using something like this new cause of action we're setting up.
Madam Chair, thank you, Representative Moritas. I could sit up here and make a lot of hypothetical examples up, but it could be as simple as a driveway permit to, or a screen enclosure permit over your pool. And I'm not suggesting governments have used those opportunities to impose unconstitutional exactions, but they could. And if they did, I mean, what are you going to do as a small business or an individual homeowner? You're not going to take on government in that circumstance. And I agree with you. I think in most circumstances, the types of claims that would be brought are on raw land where you're asking for some permit or some, a development order or a PUD rezoning, something of that nature, and there's some harsh condition that you think exceeds the standard created in this statute or already created by the U.S. Supreme Court that you would want to challenge. But it could, and I think does exist in other circumstances as well. But I don't have a specific, here's where one happened example for you.
Representative Dudley.
I just wanted to ask you if we're going to trust the courts to make a fair decision regarding attorney's fees, how is that a problem? Don't we think the court will be able to get that right?
Mr. Hunter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, we would hope so. Apparently, the U.S. Supreme Court didn't think the Florida Supreme Court got it right, so, that's why they were reversed. And ultimately, I get your equal standard. I absolutely understand that. And in most cases where attorney's fees are awarded via statute, that is the standard. But in the property takings context, that isn't typically the standard, because the landowner whose property is being taken is in an inferior position to deal with government. And thus, that's why the standard's written as it is in here. But I certainly, I don't think the position from which you come with your amendment is one of being unreasonable. I just think the consequence of it is probably particularly harsh on those who are the least powerful or least capable of dealing with the governmental claims against them.
Okay, does any other members have any additional questions? Okay, anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on this amendment to the strike all before we go forward? Yes, sir. Okay, come on up.
Morning, Chairman, members. I really wasn't prepared to speak, but listening to I guess Mr. Hunter.
I'm sorry, could you identify yourself
Yes,
too,
my name
please?
is Rick Roth. I'm a president of Roth Farms. I farm in Palm Beach County, Florida. And my purpose for speaking was to give you a real-life example that Mr. Hunter was he was referring to a hypothetical, and I said, well, maybe you don't want a hypothetical. You'd like a real-life example. I sit on a board that reports to the County Commission of Palm Beach County, and the purpose of it is to promote agriculture in Palm Beach County. And I've had the privilege of going to many planning and zoning meetings to hear the issues that farmers are dealing with in Palm Beach County in order to try to be profitable. I will give a specific case. It's Bednar Farms in Palm Beach County, which has the unusual situation of farming in the ag reserve area and wanting to build a farmer's market and grocery type store in Palm Beach County. They were allowed to do so. Having success at doing that, they also wanted to expand their operation. They wanted to double it in size. I have to tell you that the people on the Planning and Zoning Board, you thought possibly they worked in a different country, where the government had the right to tell a private landowner that they could not sell ham sandwiches in their farmer's market because it wasn't related to producing fruits and vegetables. And we tried to make it clear to them, but it did not work. We tried to make it clear to them that it is the duty of government to make regulations, but they need to do it in a way that allows people to grow their businesses. And we tried over and over again to say, well, instead of telling them specifically they can't make ham sandwiches, why don't you say, if you want to expand your operation and make your vegetable operation more profitable by having a farmer's market and also sell ham sandwiches, that you restrict that to people that own farmland in the ag reserve area and have so many acres in production. Don't tell them they just can't make ham sandwiches. The point is that sometimes government gets this idea in their mind that they are in control of how they're going to do planning and zoning, and sometimes you as a landowner have to go and take some type of cause of action and say, wait a minute, this is not fair. And I agree totally with Representative Edwards that for this landowner it would be a chilling effect for them to bring a lawsuit against the county in order to be able to expand their operation. And then if they lose, they have to pay legal fees. The purpose of this original change in Burt-Harris is to give private citizens an ability to have a cause of action to stop maybe a unelected person who is a staff member making decisions that are not practical to someone conducting their private business. So the idea is this, the whole intention is to make it better and easier for people to have prosperous businesses. And I think this amendment to the amendment totally negates that.
Great.
So I'm in opposition to the amendment to the amendment.
Right, correct. Thank you, Mr. Roth, for making the trip up here, and it's very meaningful to have our constituents come and testify on laws that we may create that causes problems or helps our constituents. And to me, your testimony means a lot when citizens come up here and do that. So thank you for coming. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on the amendment to the strike-all before we move forward? Okay, seeing none. Representative Dudley, you are recognized to close on your... Oh, I'm sorry, we're in debate. I'm sorry. We're in debate. Anyone wishing debate? Vice Chair Moritas.
With due respect to the sponsor, I do support this. However, I would say in light of Mr. Hunter's comments that Bert Harris has a sort of a better framework, I would ask that maybe as it moves forward, whether the amendment fails or passes, that we sort of adopt that into this act, because that seems like that's been working, rather than kind of trying to create a new sort of system for it.
Great, thank you. Representative Lake Ray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have been watching, listening to this, and actually having some discussions with the sponsor of this. And coming from local government, I am concerned of the abuses of it. But on the other hand, I recognize what was just stated. I know that we can't at this point in time work through that. I'd like to see something that could be added to this bill that perhaps emulates some of what Representative Dudley has put forward, but given the testimony and given what I know can be abuses of government, having seen that in private practice as an engineer, and having seen that on the other side of that of serving in local government, I'm very caught in between on this. I will actually vote against this today, but I hope that we'll put something that will incorporate the intention that I think that our good representative here is trying to bring forward.
Great, thank you for that comment, Representative Ray. Any debate? Any more debate? I too would like to see us maybe work this through. There is another stop after this, which is criminal justice. I'm sorry. What's the next stop? I'm sorry, civil justice. Wrong court. Civil justice. So there is time to get these issues worked out as we get through this process. So I will be in opposition of, sorry, Representative Dudley, but I will be in opposition of your amendment to the strike-all. And with that, members, if there's any more debate, Representative Dudley, you're recognized to close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me clarify something. This is not about saying that these causes of action aren't appropriate, good, and they should be heard. Absolutely, and I'm all for that. I'm a private property owner. I own property. I have a business, and I don't like government overreaching and doing things that I think are unwarranted or outrageous. Clearly. I'm a businessman. I've had my own business for a long time. And so it's not about that. This amendment is strictly and solely going to attorney's fees, okay, court costs, and awarding them to the prevailing party. It allows a court, a judge, who would hear the whole argument, the lawsuit, to know whether or not there was a colorable claim, whether it was filed in good faith, and it is just a common sense approach to awarding attorney's fees. I am for the citizenry and property owners have the right to do the very thing that Representative Edwards is trying to do. The question, the issue is on attorney's fees here. And whether, That's it in a nutshell. Thank you. I encourage your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Dudley. Okay, members, now we are on Representative Dudley's amendment to the strike all. All in favor of the strike all amendment, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. No. Okay, we'll show that that amendment is not accepted. So the amendment fails. Members, we're back on the strike all amendment as amended. Okay, and is there anyone now wishing to speak on the, or any questions on the amendment, on the strike all amendment? Okay, seeing none. Do we have people from the audience that wishes to speak on the amendment? Okay. Let me get my cards out here. Okay, we have Katie Kelly with the Florida Chamber. Okay, wave in support of the strike all amendment. We have Sarah Blakely with the Lee County Board of County Commissioners on the strike all amendment. Okay, there she is. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Sarah Blakely with Lee County Board of County Commissioners. I want to thank you, Representative Edwards, for all the time you've spent with us and explaining your experiences dealing with issues where local government make land use decisions and planning and zoning decisions. That's helped inform us, I think, as representative of government. I'm here to support the Lee County provision in here, the FEMA map provision, and it's been a problem under Burt Harris for Lee County to deal with numerous lawsuits as a consequence of us adopting federally mandated flood insurance maps. And so this provision that makes an exception to the Burt Harris Act is going to be very helpful to us in dealing with those claims. When bills are adopted, sometimes unintended consequences occur, and this corrects one of those situations for Lee County. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Caldwell, for supporting that amendment.
Great, thank you. Now, all the other cards I have is back on the once we get back on the bill. So, members, we're in debate on the strike all amendment. Any debate? Representative recognized to close on your amendment.
I'll wait to close.
Great. Is there any opposition to the strike all amendment? Seeing none, we will accept that. Members, now we are back on the bill as amended. Is there any questions on the bill as amended? Okay, seeing none, now we have several people from the audience that wishes to speak. We're going to go through these. We have Lance Pierce with the Florida Farm Bureau. Great, wave in support. We have Trudy Burton with the Builders Association of South Florida.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Trudy Burton. I'm the Executive Vice President for the Builders Association of South Florida. I am here to not only support Representative Edwards' bill, but also was asked by her to give you some specific examples, very similar to the gentleman before me, about these issues. And as it turns out, we are here for Builders Association Week, so I'm pleased to see all the members of my Dade and Broward delegation. There was another speaker before me who indicated that this would eliminate bad behavior. In fact, we are very pleased that this is exactly what we think this is going to do. And because these are last-minute exactions of money or land from applicants, small business folks looking to open their business, big business guys who could be targets as well, they are this close to yes. And at that point, they've met all the requirements, and just as they think they're going to get their approval, there is a last-minute request from that, of that individual to help fund a planning study that's going to be undertaken by a local institution of higher learning, or assistance in fixing up a park that has no relationship to the applicant's project. That's the gotcha piece, okay? This is not let's make a deal. This is local government trying to get, a business person trying to get through the process here. We think that is unfair and unacceptable behavior. And again, it affects all business folks. Small business people who are unfamiliar with the process, they're victimized by it. The bigger firms are seen as targets, okay? And also, one point to clarify, no one wants to be engaged in a lawsuit. Everybody wants to get their permit They want to get their certificate of occupancy, and they want to open up their store or their business or get on with things. So this bill would end that particular process, for which our members are very pleased, and we urge the committee to support and vote this bill out favorably. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Great. Thank you, Trudy, for testifying. Next, we have Jim Spratt with the Florida Nursery and Growers Landscaping Association. Okay, waves in support. Next, we have Brian Pitts. Justice to Jesus.
I looked at the amendment. The attorney fees thing, that's kind of out the window, because 57105 applies to any case. And then that is a bad faith argument or frivolous. So I'm trying to figure out, I understand putting the component in there for attorney fees, but any judge in their own discretion could look at 57.105 statute, which applies to any civil case. And that handles it. You file a motion for that. Same stuff. Okay, I don't know what that argument is about, but you can go look up that statute. I mean, it's a bunch of case law on that behind it. But, okay, you have here a problem. The first problem is instead of just simply solving the problem that the high court mentioned about Florida on the aspect of cause of action, and stop there. That's it. Take the language that they said that needed to be put in or Florida needed to do, and stop there. You didn't. So that's why you got a problem. You went on beyond what the Coon case asked the Florida to do, and now you got this other stuff which is not necessary. A simple cause of action, typical damages remain, typical attorney fee concept, that's it, within the context of the Coon case and the existing law, and finish. No, that's what you did. So now you have this definition, lines 120, 126, of defining your concept of damages, like that's really necessary in any court. There's consequential damage, compensatory damage. It's typical court case. You're going to have a certain amount of damages, that's it. Pain and suffering, whatever. You're going to limit the concept of damages, not knowing what this person may have went through before they get to the court. Then you got a problem. Of course, right now this bill is mostly favoring local government because it's trying to keep local government, to keep the person from going to court, whereas they may be ready because they've already tried to settle without this legislation. Come to a meeting of minds. So really, the average person, they don't want to go to court either. They've already on their own, most likely, especially business person, tried to come to some consensus. So this here, the next point, 143 to 149, this aspect of the pre-suit. Most cases, especially business, they've already done that with the attorney, got them involved, made phone calls, went to the office, tried to meet with whoever. Most cases, that's already been done. So now you're going to have them stretch even longer and go through this additional time with the pre-suit, because that's condition precedent. It must, 90 days, must, before filing. So it's going to be dismissed if you don't do that. That's condition precedent. Okay, now, obviously you're not talking about regular persons that's going to be using this, because it says this written notice shall identify the exaction that the property owner believes to be prohibited, include a brief explanation of why the property owner believes the extraction to be prohibited, and provide an estimate of damages. You're telling me to hire an attorney. So who's using the statute? Apparently a regular common citizen is not going to be involved in this. I need an attorney for all that. Now guess what? If I don't do that right, guess what's going to happen? Dismissed. Now, not without prejudice, you just got to clear up the notice and fulfill all these requirements and come on back into court, ma'am or sir. Or business. Now, business ain't, because they're going to keep them from going to court because they got to make sure they fulfill all this. Whereas they've done this most likely already. If anything, they're ready to go to court because they've tried to resolve it outside of court. Because the owner doesn't want to go to court either. So they're going to break their neck to resolve it with the government. So what is all this excess in here? It's going to the judiciary. There'll be some other arguments there, but I'm trying to keep it local to this. Right now, it's favoring local government, the way the bill's written now.
Okay, next we're going to go to Stephen James with the Association of Counties.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members. Appreciate the opportunity to provide some comments on this bill. As you can imagine, it's been difficult sitting on my hands for all this time listening to the preceding testimony. As you know, this bill has two distinct parts. The first is the Burt Harris revisions. And the sponsor has amended Burt Harris to clarify some of the provisions in Burt Harris with regard to settlement, with regard to exactly which property owner the act applies to, and of course the Caldwell Amendment with regard to the FEMA flood maps. We appreciate all of these amendments to Burt Harris. We thank Representative Edwards, and as Sarah just mentioned, she has been very generous with her time. I don't know how many meetings we've had, a number of meetings, a number of texts, very gracious, and we appreciate that very much. The second part of this bill is completely different. This is the codification of the Kuntz case. This case is not about what Burt Harris is about, and that is a governmental regulation that diminishes the property owner's value. The Kuntz case is one of exactions. Now, we've sat there, we've talked about, how government can be overzealous. While this may be true, I will submit to you that the vast majority of governmental decisions are not in that class. Practicing land use law for a number of years, I can tell you that to be the case. But every once in a while, there are some conditions imposed on a property owner's permit application that, well, perhaps might be going a little bit too far, and this is what the Kuntz case was about. And again, most of those exaction cases are going to be close. They're going to be, well, did they go too far, or are they, reasonable and rational, I should say. And that's the purview of the courts. Kuntz was a very special case that, as Mr. Hunter said, went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. And part of the difficulty in codifying court cases, especially this one that is now on remand to the Florida Supreme Court, where a number of these issues have yet to be decided. So we're trying to create a new cause of action, heretofore non-existent, put it into our statute book, create a cause of action for these cases that the exaction, the conditions for which a permit would be granted become prohibited or unconstitutional, if you will. One of these issues is, damages. What are the damages? In taking, it's just compensation. Well, this is not a takings case. This is an exactions case, so that's remanded. One of them is where, where the case is brought. What is the cause of action? In Kuntz, as a matter of fact, it was a state case that was later determined on federal grounds. What are the damages, and at what point in the process does your cause of action arise? All of these are now on remand in the Florida Supreme Court. So that makes this very difficult, and Representative Edwards has worked very hard on these nuances to get the proper language into this bill. And I can tell you, she's done a yeoman's effort on this, worked very hard, and we very much appreciate it. We're almost there. We have just a couple of concerns. One of those is the attorney fee provision that you've been discussing. We're trying. We're almost there. We didn't participate in the dialogue just out of respect and courtesy to the sponsor to continue to work on that issue. But it is worthy of note that Burt Harris provides attorney's fees to the prevailing party. It's in Burt Harris, Chapter 70. It may be worthy of note that the statute under which Mr. Kunst brought his original claim, 373.6172, provides for attorney's fees for the prevailing party. So we do think that that's something that should be vetted a little bit further. We appreciate, Representative Dudley's amendment, but again, out of courtesy to the sponsor, we'd just like to continue to work with her on that and a couple other minor details. With that, we very much appreciate, Chairman Caldwell, your amendment, the amendments, as I said, with regard to Bert Harris. The Kunst codification causes us a little pause still, but we're getting there. Madam Chairman, I thank you very much for your time.
Great. Thank you, Mr. James. Next, we have Gary Hunter, Property Rights Coalition. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Butch Calhoun with the Florida Fruit and Vegetable Association. Great. Waves and support. Okay, we missed this one. Diane, I'm sorry. You actually wanted to speak on Dudley's amendment, and I apologize that this one didn't get. If you're still here, would you like to speak on the bill? Okay. Next, we have David Cruz, Florida League of Cities.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be extremely brief. I think we've indulged this topic long enough. I just wanted to thank Representative Edwards again for all the other provisions of the bill that she's been working with us on. Wanted to echo the comments that Stephen James had said. I think he said it best. There's a lot of good in the bill. There's still a lot of work left to be done, specifically on the damages and on the attorney's fee provision. We have specific concerns with those. We hope to continue working on those with Representative Edwards, but I just wanted to recognize the effort she's done in trying to craft a bill that's fair and balanced. At this point, we still have concerns with those parts, and we hope to continue addressing those as the bill moves forward. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And members, also, I had Mike Anderson with the City of Fort Walton Beach. And Mike, if you're still here, I apologize. And a Dudley amendment. Okay, sorry. We missed that one. Please give me my apology. Okay, members, anyone else in the audience wishing to speak that we might have missed? Okay, with that, we are in debate. Members in debate. Anyone wishing to debate? Vice Chair Moritas.
Yeah, I definitely want to commend Representative Edwards. This is a great bill. There's a lot of great things in it. I definitely support the cause of action, which is the Coons case is created. I thank Representative Perry as well. I do have concern about the damages. I know that this has been worked on. I just talked to Mr. Hunter yesterday. I just think there should be some limitation to not include incidental consequential damages, things that just maybe some things that are not included as damages, because I think the idea is just to compensate the owner and then award them attorney's fees if they win. So with that, again, I do support the bill.
Thank you. Any other members in debate? Okay, Representative Edwards and Perry. Based on the comments, I think you have been working really hard, and after working with my staff too, I know you've been working really hard to get this where it is everyone is trying to get to and be fair. And I have every confidence that you're going to continue to do that, as well as the League of Cities have said and the County Association has said that you've been willing to work with them in the past. So I am in support of the bill, and I would like to see the bill move forward. Like I said, we have one more stop that we can go to correct any of the issues that everyone has, and I know it is in your best interest to get it as perfect as a bill as we can, which I'm confident that you can make that happen. So with that, you're recognized to, I'm sorry, Representative Rader.
I've heard you say, thank you, I've heard you say twice that it has one more stop. I see it as two more stops.
Two more stops. I
Appropriations
apologize.
and
And
judiciary.
you have two stops that you can make comments on.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
My apologies. Thank you for correcting me. Okay, members, anybody else would like to comment? Okay, you're recognized to close.
Chair Mayfield, thank you. Before I even learned of this Kuntz case and began to see some very real-life examples that I will share on the floor because they're very personal, but they really speak to why I have spent so much time on this issue and why this means so much to families across the state. But before I did that, Representative Perry for 2 years had taken on this issue. With your indulgence, Madam Chair, if I could allow you to just maybe have him speak for a moment, I would appreciate it very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Representative Perry.
Thank you. And in the third year, I finally got smart and hired. I got some partnered up with talented and smart to help with this bill.
We've always said you want something done, get a busy woman and make it happen.
That's it. Thank you. And I do want to thank you for Representative Edwards for what she's done and the work she's put into it. And members, I just want to real quickly tell you that how important I think this bill is and why I think it's so important. When I first got up here 5 years ago, we started looking at the problems that we face in the state that we have. Affordable housing is one of the biggest problems that we have in our state, that we have left out an entire group of people who will not realize the American dream. And so we look at things like the Sadowski Fund and other things that will help that. That is looking at the end result of a problem and saying, here, let's do this on the end result, which has very little impact and is a stopgap measure at best. If you look at the cost of increases in living in the last 35 years, you will find that the three biggest increases are taxes at 25% more, health care at 72% more, housing at 74% increase. That is the reason that we have a affordable housing crisis. And until we deal with the root causes of these problems, we are never going to get to we'll never solve the problem ultimately. A bill like this moves forward on the structural problems that cause a lot in Gainesville of about $45,000 cost, not excluding the land and excluding the building. That's just the regulatory process, and Gainesville is not the highest in the state. What does that do? That puts people out of the market for housing. To have $45,000 worth of cost, of regulatory cost, because we have a government that is arbitrary and capricious in their rulings and their actions that they take. And what we need to do, and you can talk about lawsuits, and I appreciate Dudley's comments on that, this bill is designed, what we need to work more on as a body is to put government where it's clearer and defined roles that government plays in our lives and in our businesses and personal lives. This bill addresses some of those issues. There's lots more that we could do, and I would encourage you not only to support this bill and co-sponsor this bill, but also to think about the other structural problems that our state faces instead of the end result of trying to Band-Aid these problems. So, again, thank you for listening to this. I know it's been a long morning, and thank you for Representative Edwards for your work on that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just briefly, I appreciate the local folks that are here today. And I want you to know, I don't believe it's our elected officials that are doing this. They have the best of intentions. These folks volunteer their time and take on these elected offices. The core problem lies with staff, and the value in having these very open, very copious dialogues with the League and with the Association of Counties. They now, I believe, understand and appreciate exactly what's happening and can work with us to take care of these things and make sure that we're all aware it doesn't happen in the first place, and therefore prevent litigations and further heartache for these families and individual business owners. So I just want you to know I'm not attacking elected officials. I just want to be very clear on that as we try to identify the root core of the problem and move on. Madam Chair, thank you very much for your indulgence, and members ask for considerable support.
Great, thank you. Martha, you can please call the roll.
Chair Mayfield?
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Diaz? Dudley?
Yes.
Moritas?
Yes.
Murphy? Pigman? Rader? Ray? Smith?
Yes.
Stone? Sullivan? The bill passes.
Great, thank you. And by your vote, we'll show committee substitute for House Bill 383 as amended is reported favorably. Okay, now we're going to move on to our last three bills. Representative Murphy, you are recognized to explain House Bill 901 relating to Pasco County.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. House Bill 901 is a bill that was brought to me by Pasco County and has unanimously been voted on by our delegation. Pasco County is interested in using reclaimed water to restore and enhance the ecosystem of Cruz Lake. This bill would repeal local laws that apply a higher level of reclaimed water regulation to Pasco County than is applicable in the rest of the state. Repeal of the law would enable the county to begin efforts to restore our lake. And that is the bill.
Great. Members, are there any questions on Representative Murphy's bill? Okay, seeing none, I have no appearance cards from the audience. Members, we're in debate. Representative Rader.
I know I missed it, but I'm just dead curious. Can I have one question real fast?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just talking to Representative Diaz. Is this your first bill?
Representative Murphy.
No, it is not.
Touche. Okay. We are in debate. Anyone wishing to debate the bill? Okay, seeing none, Representative Murphy, you're recognized to close on your bill.
I waive close.
Great. Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield,
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Diaz, Dudley,
Yes.
Moritas, Murphy, Pigman, Rader, Ray, Smith,
Yes.
Stone, Sullivan. The bill passes.
Okay. By your vote, we'll show House Bill 901 reported favorably. Okay, now we're going to take up Representative Caldwell's bill at House Bill 1255 related to Lehigh Acres and municipal services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, those of you who've been here a while remember I had a bill 2 years ago regarding the East County Water Control District, a drainage district under Chapter 298 that serves the Lehigh Acres area. In that bill, we added 2 powers, streetlights and sidewalks. The governor, however, vetoed the bill, despite our unanimous support in both chambers. And he named 2 reasons, primarily that Chapter 298 drainage districts were an inappropriate vehicle for these additional services, and also that there's the potential for duplicative taxation through the provision of those services. So the bill you have before you seeks to remedy those 2 objections by the governor. It converts the district from Chapter 298 to a general special district under Chapter 189, and then in the list of additional powers, none of those powers can be exercised without the mutual consent of Lee County, which is the general purpose government for Lehigh Acres at this time.
Great, and I believe you also have an amendment.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, this corrects some Scrivener's errors in 3 different parts of the bill.
Okay, great. Members, are there any questions on the amendment? Okay, seeing none. Anyone from the audience wishing to speak? I have no cards. With that, we're in debate on the amendment. Seeing none, you're recognized to close on the amendment.
Close.
Okay, without objection, show the amendment adopted. Now we're back on the bill as amended. Members, are there any questions on the bill as amended? Okay, seeing no questions, I have no appearance cards. We're in debate. Seeing no debate, Representative Caldwell, you're recognized to close.
Waive close.
Great. Martha, please call the roll.
Chair Mayfield,
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell, Campbell,
Yes.
Diaz, Dudley,
Yes.
Moritas, Murphy, Pigman, Rader, Ray, Smith,
Yes.
Stone, Sullivan. The bill passes.
Great. By your vote, we'll show House Bill 1255 as amended, reported favorably. Members, we're on our last bill, and it is by Representative Diaz, and we will have Representative Diaz present House Bill 833.
Thank you. Representative Manny Diaz filed this bill. He cannot be here today, so I am presenting it on his behalf. This bill is intending to help the City of Miami clarify its authority to levy taxes through its Downtown Development Authority, a tax which they have been collecting for 50 years, and we do have an amendment.
Great. He has an amendment? We don't have an amendment.
Yes, we do. Do we not? Huh? So, okay, I guess we don't. I thought we had it in my script. So, with that, I do time for questions.
Okay, members, are there any questions on the bill? Okay, seeing none, we have a couple appearance cards. We have Brian Pitts with Justice to Jesus.
Thank you very much, Brian Pitts, Justice Jesus. First of all, the bill is no good, at least in the present state. I saw the amendment over on the Senate side. You got, actually, the issue of this bill is right now still pending in the Florida Supreme Court. So first of all, I guess you're going to try with this bill, moot that case that's pending. Not only that, 1968, you read staff analysis, go page 2 through 4, the problems with this bill. The litigation. When the Constitution was changed in 1968, DDAs actually was supposed to be sunsetted. And it's very questionable whether even you or those localities can even enforce this anymore. That's why across the street they're trying to take this up constitutionally. And I say that because it's a constitutional issue. Your legislation is not going to matter because the courts interpret the Constitution. So you can go ahead with this legislation, and if they decide otherwise, this is not going to do you any good. See, this is a situation whereas they're not debating a statute across the street. They're debating constitutional law, which is something this legislature can change. It was attempted to do across the hall. They saw the problem. Senator Margolis even more so because it was in her district. They stopped it right there in its tracks. So, and let me go ahead and finish. It would be an expansion of government because, to be quite honest, Miami shouldn't kind of be doing it right now since it's under litigation, and they know they're on pins and needles. What it does right now is needless taxation and business on citizens because, see, it's a double ad valorem on top of that district on businesses and citizens in the DA area. So they're taxed 2 times for ad valorem. You're trying to breathe life into something that was sunsetted. And what you need to accomplish in this bill is antiquated and actually no longer needs to be done. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Mr. Pitts. Next, we have Mr. Bittencourt with the Miami Downtown Development. Waves in support. Thank you very much. And we have Mr. Roos or Roos. Waves in support, City of Miami. Great. Members, we are now in debate on the bill. In debate? Seeing no debate, Representative Diaz, you're recognized to close on your bill.
I waive my close.
Great. Martha, will you please call the roll?
Chair Mayfield?
Yes.
Representatives Caldwell?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Diaz?
Yes.
Dudley?
Yes.
Moritas?
Yes.
Murphy? Yes. Pigman? Rader?
Yes.
Ray? Smith?
Yes.
Stone? Sullivan? Yes. The bill passes.
Great, thanks. And members, by your vote, will show House Bill 833 reported favorably. Okay, members, we went through a lot of bills today, and I want to thank everyone's patience to get through this. And next week, we're not for sure, but it might be our last subcommittee meeting next week. We'll know more on that in the coming days. And with that, Representative Moritas moves we rise. And without objection, show the meeting adjourned.
Yes.